Lisa, this is a huge coup because I think a lot of people felt that you were nowhere near Nvidia in terms of power, in terms of compute.
What we're seeing is there's just a massive demand for more compute. We're super excited to announce this deal with OpenAI. It's a huge deal. 6 gigawatts is a massive deployment at scale. And
AMD just made one of the biggest bets in AI history, a 6 gigawatt deal with OpenAI, yes, the company behind ChatGPT, that could reshape the global AI chip race and even give OpenAI a 10% stake in AMD itself. This isn't just another partnership, it is a calculated power move that could rewrite the future of AI hardware and maybe the balance of power in Silicon Valley. On October 6, 2025, AMD and OpenAI announced a multi-year strategic partnership to deploy up to 6 gigawatts of AMD Instinct accelerators. The rollout is scheduled to begin in the second half of 2026, starting with the next generation Instinct MI450 chips. To align incentives, AMD granted OpenAI warrants for 160 million shares, about 10% of AMD's equity, that vest when OpenAI hits specific hardware deployment and share price milestones. Reuters called it a bold alignment of incentives between two of the biggest names in artificial intelligence. Here's how it works. In phase 1, OpenAI receives 1 gigawatt of MI450 compute in 2026. Over time, that scales to 6 gigawatt, roughly the output of 6 nuclear reactor units worth of power, or the compute equivalent of millions of GPUs. For each milestone achieved, OpenAI earns a slice of those 160 million warrants. Some tranches also hinge on AMD's stock reaching certain price levels. Analysts estimate the final hurdle could correspond to around $600 per share, implying a $1 trillion valuation. If everything vests, existing shareholders face roughly 9% dilution, but AMD secures a customer that's now literally invested in its success. TechCrunch called it new kind of AI hardware financing model. OpenAI pays partly with performance, not just cash. So what is AMD actually shipping? The Instinct MI450, AMD's flagship AI accelerator built on TSMC's 2nm process. AMD CEO Lisa Su has already said we will beat Nvidia to 2nm. Each Helios rack will host 72 MI450 GPUs connected through AMD's new UA-Link interconnect, packing up to 51 terabytes of HBM4 memory and 1400 terabytes per second of bandwidth. Now compare that to Nvidia's Rubin platform, 21 terabyte of memory and about 936 terabyte per second bandwidth. On paper, AMD's advantage is clear, but paper specs don't train models. The real test will be whether AMD's ROCm software stack can match Nvidia's CUDA ecosystem. This partnership is not just about chips, it's about control. For nearly a decade, Nvidia has dominated AI compute, owning well over 80% of the market. OpenAI's move signals a pivot away from single vendor dependency. For AMD, it's validation. For OpenAI, it's leverage. The deal positions AMD as second foundational supplier of AI infrastructure, giving OpenAI both bargaining power and long-term supply assurance. This also reshapes the competitive landscape for cloud providers like Azure and AWS, who want diverse hardware options to avoid shortages and price spikes. But make no mistake, this is a high-risk bet. 2nm is new territory. Any yield issues at TSMC could delay delivery. 6 gigawatts of AI compute consumes as much electricity as a city of 500,000 people. Data center operators will need entire grid partnerships to support this. Nvidia still owns the AI developer ecosystem with CUDA. ROCm has grown fast, but framework maturity and support are key to unlocking MI450's potential. Missed deployment targets and OpenAI's warrants don't vest, and the market will notice. Let's visualize the scale. A single data center GPU can draw between 800 and 1200 watts. Take an average of 1000 watts, and that's roughly 6 million GPUs across the life of this deal. The first 1 gigawatt phase alone equals about 1 million units. 5 times AMD's current annual accelerator shipments by most analyst estimates. To put that in context, AMD's data center segment posted $3.2 billion in revenue last quarter, and only a fraction of that came from GPUs. So OpenAI's deal represents potentially years of accelerator growth compressed into one partnership. Wall Street noticed AMD shares spiked 23% in a day following the announcement. Analysts like KeyBank now project $7 to $8 billion in AI revenue this year, nearly double the prior forecast. Beyond numbers, symbolism matters. AMD is no longer the alternative GPU maker. It is an AI infrastructure supplier trusted by the world's leading lab. And in a market where AI demand continues to outstrip supply, being second supplier is sometimes just as valuable as being first. Let's imagine 3 possible futures. Best case, AMD delivers on schedule, OpenAI vests most warrants, and AMD secures follow-on AI contracts from other labs. Base case, some delays and software growing pains, but AMD still emerges as the clear number 2 in AI compute. Worst case, manufacturing or power issues slow rollouts, OpenAI scales back deployments, and investor optimism cools. Keep your eyes on official MI450 benchmarks versus Nvidia's Rubin series. TSMC yield and capacity updates. AMD filings on Warrant vesting progress. Large-scale power partnerships for AI data centers. Any new customers joining AMD's AI roster. Here's the bigger picture. The AI market is on track to grow nearly 20 times by 2034, with a 38% annual growth rate, according to Bloomberg Intelligence. Even if supply triples, it won't catch demand. So this is not Nvidia versus AMD. It is everyone racing to build enough compute. Cloud providers, chip foundries, and power companies all stand to gain. AMD's move proves that AI hardware is no longer a component game, it is an infrastructure arms race. And OpenAI just picked its second journal for that war. I will admit it, I was wrong about AMD. I thought they would stay in Nvidia's shadow, catching up generation after generation. But the truth is, markets this large don't have one winner. AMD's timing was perfect, mature chip architecture, open software ecosystem, and a partner that needs scale immediately. The lesson? In AI hardware, execution and timing beat legacy advantage. This deal turns AMD from challenger into an architect of AI infrastructure. So to wrap up, AMD and OpenAI's 6 gigawatt deal is audacious, risky, and potentially transformative. If executed, it could cement AMD as a core pillar of global AI compute. But it is a tightrope walk. Manufacturing yields, software integration, and timelines must all click. I am Ahtasham Malik, and this was AMD and OpenAI's $100 billion bet on AI revolution.